Alright, so that's live on YouTube now. I'm gonna copy the link for the people that are on Discord.
How's
Basically, so what?
but how's your day been?
It's been fucking great, man. I've got a lot of shit done. I've just been grinding, doing a bunch of busy work, just knocking out little tasks that I've been kind of adding to my list to get done. It always feels
I thought
good
about
to.
this the other day. Didn't you start a shipping company?
Yeah,
Or-
that was a while ago. I'm not doing that no more.
I got you. I was just curious.
Yeah. Right now is not the time with the way the economy is. Alrighty, so I'll go ahead and get started. So I wanted to kind of switch stuff up and just go over trades from the last week. Not all these were given in the Discord. Some I just took myself. But I think that it's important that you always go back and review your week. You know, don't do it at the end of the month because you're gonna be very behind, and it's not gonna be as fresh in your mind. No one wants to do this, right? But I promise you, it's not gonna make you a worse trader. I can't promise you it's gonna make you a better trader, but I know that it's not detrimental to your trading. And at the end of the day, it's like, okay, like sports teams, really, professional sports teams, boxers, fighters, gymnasts, whatever it is, the best of the best always review film. So this is our way to do that. And not everybody wants to do this, but it's not that hard. For instance, I just basically entered in everything under this right here in the last 45 minutes. Totally fine. But what it did is it refreshed some stuff for me. It literally gave me some, I need to move this out. It gave me some insight on stuff. And now that's how you grow. That's how you're going to, over time, grow into a better trader. You're going to identify your habits. You're going to identify the mistakes that you make. And then there will be mistakes you make continuously. Maybe it's you're taking profits too early, or you're trading counter trend too much, or whatever it may be. You'll be able to catch that if you are real with yourself and you journal everything. Now, the week started off, these three Bitcoin longs, whenever we were trying to long earlier this week, it was honestly a really boring day. Got stopped at break even twice. And then the last time I didn't have a reason to move stops to break even. So we ended up taking a 1 hour loss. This is kind of how crypto's been lately, which I'm not going to blame it on that at all. But for reasons like that, that's why I haven't been really focusing on crypto lately. But we'll go back. Oops, not BVTC. An alert. Did someone ask something? Hold on. I said who possessed Casper. No, so I don't know if I have these still on here because I thought they were in my Notion, but yeah, they're over here. Okay, cool. I have to update them, like the pictures later. So the framework, so we always want to review framework first because that's going to tell you, what made you take the long in the first place. Well, for me, the main framework here was we had removed so much sell side liquidity. Now, on most pairs, for instance, like a lot of other trades I took this week, it was a similar setup, counter trend, but your intraday liquidity was removed, so you could take a trade. But Bitcoin and crypto in general lately has been a little fickle, and we came back. See, for me, we came back down into our zone. That was deep, and there was also a POI. That was another thing. There was these sell to buy wicks, which is a fractal form of demand. We hit supply right here, and price came back a little bit and pushed through it. We also removed all of this sell side liquidity. So for me, that was where I wanted to look for buying opportunities. Now, the problem was whenever we come here, we got that first change of character. So I was being pretty aggressive because a lot of times with these counter trend trades, you're going to you got to either just take it or don't even worry about it. You can't really be half in and half out. But what I did was waited for that. We had our trigger there. Now, if we go back down, we know that we had a demand zone right here. Now, I didn't just set a limit because we're trading counter trend. Everything was, dumping. The whole idea was just to buy up into an area to take more sells. But I didn't want to take profits this early. I guess we could have taken profits right here. But for me, that was not, looking back, maybe we should have. But, at the end of the day, I'd rather stay true to my system where I really don't take profits most of the time until 3R. And the only times that I really go against that are if I am going to sleep or if I'm not looking to hold something through the rest of the day for whatever reason. Like maybe, oh, what's up, Ian? I appreciate you coming through. I know usually you can't make it, but yeah. So usually, the only times I take trades earlier is if I'm leaving my desk or I'm not being able to monitor, and I don't want to just be, in a trade. So go back this way. I like keeping this. Oops, I don't want to do that. So this is all in a 1 minute time frame. Price came and broke down, or not broke down. Sorry, broke up from that 15-minute internal break of structure. So then what I waited to do is wait till price returned to this zone, and then I wanted to see a 1 minute break of structure with displacement. Now that actually happened down here, because when we were watching live, and it's hard to see now in hindsight, but this candle at one point was an internal high. I know that's really hard to see, but we saw price push down, and then it came back up. By the time that I got into it, because I was kind of watching something else and watching this at the same time, I think we were on stream at this, or it was right after we got off stream. Took a trade right there. Price came up. Reviewing on it, could have taken some profits there, but we didn't. We got stopped at break even. Now, why did I move my stop loss to break even? Because we're trading counter trend. I usually won't move my stop loss to break even, but I'll wait until we're at 3R to trim 30%, and then I can leave my stop loss because we already took 1R of profits and we reduced our position size. So now if the trade went south and hit our stop loss, in that scenario of taking 30% at 3R, you're de-risked. Right? You covered your fees and your loss. So, but in this situation, we obviously didn't get that, and it was counter trend, so we set stops to break even. So the zone was still good over here. And then I looked at it again, and I saw a run on liquidity right there. So we're in the zone. Now I've got a liquidity raid. And let's try this again. So Bitcoin got this internal break of structure right there with displacement. Price came back down to this inefficiency. I just took a trade, right? Moved up. That wasn't really seeing any kind of strength that I wanted. And at that point, I just decided to break even my stops, and thank God we did. They would definitely got stopped out, and then price pushed down farther into the POI we had originally framed the trade off of. Then price came back up. This was the real lick raid. This seemed to be a lick raid because there was a little displacement, but the real liquidity raid was right there. We saw that displacement, which oftentimes it doesn't happen at this time of day. But lately, there's really no routine with crypto. It's just going to do what it's going to do. The times have not really been like used to. You could trade crypto like during kill zones. Now it's kind of just the price action is the price action. But price came up. We had broken structure not once, but twice. And it looked like we had came back into this breaker block right here. And also another form of fractal supply, we have these sell to buy wicks. So it looked like price had respected this newly formed demand. It was a little more of an aggressive take and took the trade. Now, ideally, if the target would have been farther, I would have set my stop loss farther. It would have been down here. But you see with Bitcoin, these big moves happen. You don't really have a great. There was no really good stop loss to take a trade right here, in my opinion. I don't unless you just put it in a random spot. But using structure, that was really your only spot. But we see that price stopped it, moved up a little bit, moseyed on around, Then it decided to wait until, I don't know, what was this, the next day? Yeah, it was the next day before it really got its move. It's just odd price action. This is kind of a great example of why I'm not really focusing on crypto right now, because I think it's just kind of a waste of time. Is it for day trading? But price did come back down. It finally swept that liquidity. No, it actually didn't. See, I wouldn't have taken any more longs because you're just engineering sell side. Now, there were good short opportunities up here, but I didn't take any of those. After that, I was like, I'm not really going to waste my time. So I said I was watching XMR. Maybe we talked about it, but I haven't really been, again, I haven't really been watching crypto at all lately. But that was the 3 Bitcoin trades, these first 3 right here. So just to sum it up, really shouldn't even been trading crypto at this point because there's a lot of other moves to be had. Or if I was, just focus on pro trend. Don't worry about trying to trade intraday movements while, you have Forex and indices where they're going to be a little bit more, they're seeking out that intraday liquidity, and you'll be able to have a much cleaner perspective on what's going on. Crypto right now, there's not, the market cap's basically erased. I mean, if we look at total, in the last few weeks, the market cap's, literally just completely diminished. So with that happening, you're going to see a lot of price action that's just unfavorable. But at that point, what I am inferring from that is the best thing to do is just wait for your 4-hour POIs and short from them with the trend. Because if you look, that's what's been paying off. We got in those nice shorts last week. That was a good that was a good example of what we want to take. Then there's more shorts here. There was shorts here to be had. I think this was actually last night. But the thing is, here, were there shorts to be had? In my opinion, not really. Because okay, now if you just short off 4-hour order blocks, there was, but that's not my style. And that may have worked this instance, but I know that most of the time that doesn't work. So this is the frustrating thing with crypto. Like, okay, if I was watching this, price comes up in this area, okay, where do you have an opportunity? Right there. But then what? You never got a return back into your area. Now we could see that still play out. I'm actually going to send an alert for that, but you didn't really get an opportunity there. Now, if price just comes up into this, I'm going to need the 15-minute to do this again because I need the 15-minute to switch bearish. But anyways, I won't get too hung up on that. I know we're recapping. Hold on, somebody's got to get muted. That's you, Parkules. But so the next trade I took was an Ethereum long. I didn't put any of this stuff here. I know it was counter trend. Let's actually look before I. This one we talked about in chat. Me and Papa were talking about it, but I don't think either of us signaled it. Did I even mark it? Oh yeah, actually I cleaned up my ETH chart in a one-on-one earlier. That's frustrating. Well, the ETH trade, I won't be able to review, and that actually kind of sucks for me because I won't have it in my journal. But I remember it was just a similar to what we were trying to do with Bitcoin, but it actually hit. So now we'll move over to CAD Yen. We had 2 trades on this pair this week. The first one we actually cut early. I think that, where is there a short position? I don't know if I kept it. I know that we can pull it up in the Discord. Just do that to make it simple. Forex analysis. Oh, here it was right here. So we took the trade, kind of giving the framework. Right here we had 4-hour we had a bullish trend on the 4-hour. And then we had this order block, price came up into it. So now we've got a liquidity raid. Now we just need that 15-minute confirmation. And we called this out and said, okay, well, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for price to come up here and get a market structure break to the downside. That was actually different. So we had that market structure break to the downside, and here I can go back over to trading view for this now. The market structure break to the downside was right here. So as soon as that broke, we then had another supply zone right here. So the first trade, we had price came up into this zone, and then we started to show signs of weakness right here. Because here we came down, made a small, I think this is actually on a lower time frame than 1 minute. That was another thing. It was on like a 15-second, but there was an internal low here. Price came up, took it out. We had taken a sell here, but then as you guys see on the Discord, we cut it. Cutting here at break even. We'll revisit once the inefficient price action's filled. So took a trade there, cut it when it was sitting at break even. It actually ended up in a 0.25R loss for me, just because of fees, which you guys still count that. But then price came up. The inefficiency that I was talking about was this right here. So we had a 15-minute inefficiency. So price was rebalanced. That gave me my trigger because I had given myself a clear framework for what I was going to need to look for another re-entry. And as soon as price came up into that area, this actually needs to get, I hate when I move it on a freaking, what was the price? 106,119. Was it 119? Yeah, that's right. Whenever you move it on the 15-minute, it like moves where it actually is in the 1 minute. But we got that the break of structure to the downside, so that just triggers into the trade. So we gave ourselves we gave ourselves a second chance with this one because the bias wasn't broken. The idea was correct. 4 hour was correct. Everything was good, and then we just realized, okay, price action is not really giving us what we need. I don't like how it's pulling up. It shouldn't be reversing that quickly, so let's just get out of break even, wait for it to come up and give us what we need. And it gave us that, and I was off to the races pretty quick for that one. Partials there, and then it was around 50 pips. Like, I can't remember, but it was when I announced it. Let's see. So there's where we took the second sells after we had that break of structure. And then 35 pips, we took some profits. So 35 pips, great trade so far. And then again, we hit 57 pips. So pretty easy money for that day. Now, the only thing that I wish I would have done differently, because we see how we had a good trade, and we took profits, but then it stopped out at entry. Either way, it was a profitable trade. Now, reflecting on this more, see, look what happened. Price came up, stopped us out, and then went to the downside. Now, what happened? And this is something I'm going to incorporate into a new model. I've seen this happen myself about 3 or 4 times over the last month. You're trading counter trend theoretically, but we're trading with the high time frame bias, right? Because our 4 hour is here. Like, you're literally talking about a massive move. Now, if you talk about this as a swing, then you're bearish, right? And it's pro trend, but that's not really a swing for a yin pair for me. So we have a massive range, but I think that we're still bearish. I'm using the higher time frames, my daily draw and liquidity to target really down here, right? So that was my bearish bias. Now, if I would have waited, we took the 15-minute change of character in a 4-hour zone against the trend. So that the thing I think we should have done differently was waited for the 4-hour change of character. Because look, we waited for the 4-hour change of character right here. That was your 4-hour change of character, and then you could have had your range supply. Came into it right here, and you would have been able to get a much more explosive entry. We see that would have given us what we needed. The original entry from that would have been, because we know this is the zone, so I'm going to move it right there. And you would have literally had your entry would have been in this area. You would have got that 1 minute confirmation. You would have been able to catch a really nice move. But good news is here, I still have my eyes on it. I still see tons of sell side liquidity being engineered the downside. We've also got our drawn liquidity down here. And that's from the daily time frame. So we've still got good reason to believe this is going down. So I'm not done with this personally. All I'm waiting on is price to return up to one of these areas of supply. I would take shorts from either one, but I would prefer this up here because that's that original sell zone. That's originally where we saw displacement enter the market. But I would still take sells from either range. Because at the end of the day, what I'm looking at here is we have this daily, where the daily is showing intention to want to come down to this recent low. You know, we filled the inefficiency, price is rebalanced right there. We rebalanced, so now the daily has shown us expansion away. Now we should be pushing down towards another area of liquidity. So trade still, I think the setup is still good. Maybe it goes without us, I don't know, but I'm still watching. I've got alerts set at both these areas, and if I can get that framework where you know, the 4-hour shifts bearish, 15-minute shifts bearish, and so on, I'll look to take more sells. So that trade, I need to update this. It was more than one. Hold on, it was 3.5, not 1.5. So that'll make this. Now, we had the next day, I took a NOS sell. I posted about this on Twitter and on Discord. We didn't signal it, so do want to make that clear. But nonetheless, still a great trade. We can learn from it together. So let me go back to it. Now this one, I was heavily using our daily drawn liquidity. Now we came up and rebalanced price, right? We didn't hit it all the way, but to me that's good enough. Now we didn't tap this POI, right? There's this buy to sell wicks on the daily, which was a 4-hour supply zone, institutional candle. But to me, we filled up enough of these inefficiencies, and then I saw that 4-hour sign of weakness, right? So we started to see that 4-hour show intention that we want to go lower. The market wanted to go lower. So at that point, we'd filled the drawn liquidity. You know, I'm bearish on the daily, on the weekly. You know, the 4 hours theoretically bullish, right? But I was not buying that. I just looked at that as a push back to get back up to this drawn liquidity. And this is why building your high time frame narrative is important, because, you know, had I just been a perma bull, I would just have only been longing at all these POIs here. Right now, this may have been a good POI to long at, but not the others. And you would have missed out on the short opportunity. So price gave us this consolidation range coming into the New York session. And we had pretty clear areas of liquidity. These highs right here, relatively equal. One had been swept already, but we had a relative idea of where the liquidity was and a clear, clean low right there. Also, the sell side was getting engineered by these relatively equal lows here. You know, retail thinks this is support. So what we do when we play the stock market, this is NOS, it's just the NQ. Now what we do when we play this, or the way I play it, is I wait for a liquidity raid model, and I wait for it to happen between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. That's the only time I'll really take a trade here. Now we want to look for that displacement up into an area of liquidity. Now we identified, you know, when I came to my desk this morning, I identified this area, and also we had those inducement highs front running this point of interest. So little mix of, you know, just liquidity concepts along with supply and demand. So we rated liquidity up into a supply zone. All I needed at this point was a break of structure to the downside. The ICT model, he needs displacement. There wasn't really displacement here until down here. If you took the ICT model, you still got a trade. You got in right there, but the risk to reward would not have been as good. I kind of mix my own style. This is a model I use. I just my liq raid model. So if I just see a liquidity raid, I'm going to take the trade, if especially on indices. Now this is something I only use on indices. If we raid that prior session liquidity, the range highs, and you need to do it with displacement. You need to have animation. Price needs to push violently into our zone or just above those old highs, and then we start to see signs of weakness on a low time frame. That's enough for me. I executed the trade. Now, what I targeted below, was a 4-hour, either a 4-hour zone. Where was it? Or maybe some equal lows. I think this is what it was. No, it's way lower. Or was it just this high? Yeah, it was just this high right here. So I know when I'm looking at this little accumulation zone on a 15-minute, on a higher time frame, that's going to be a demand area. I don't know if it was a 4-hour. Let's see. Maybe on a 1-hour, but yeah, it was a 4-hour demand zone right there and an inefficiency fill. So I wasn't greedy. One thing looking back on this though, because I wanted to take this longer, I did leave a runner until market close, which was like right about here, like 30 minutes before market close, somewhere in these two candles. I did leave 25% of my position there, and I didn't trim anything until this full target. So it was a beautiful trade. I was very happy with it. Executed exactly how it's supposed to go. So only thing to learn from here is just to not be afraid whenever you have a model like this and take it, because I have confidence in this model. Often there was also news manipulation here. So that was NOS. Let's see what the next one was. An Aussie dollar sell was the same morning. This is a fucking great day. Oops. So actually, let me just pull up the stuff because it'll make it easier. I just did these another organized. So the framework originally on the 4-hour, or let's look at, hold on, let me have to click a couple of them. There we go. So the 4-hour price action, very simple. We had sell side liquidity engineered, these equal lows. Now the 4-hour was bullish at one point. We switched up. It was really choppy price action. There was a bearish break of structure right here, bearish break of structure right there. So then you had this bearish range we were trading within. Also sell side liquidity at the bottom of the range, and you can't see right here, but there's a weekly low that I had been targeting for a while. So I'm just looking at this imbalance getting filled. Price was rebalanced and we rated liquidity. So that was my framework. This is what I was like, okay, I might have a trade opportunity. 15-minute, I came in and refined that 4-hour supply zone into a 15-minute institutional candle. This was extremely similar to the Bitcoin short we took last week. And price came up, refilled that imbalance, and then that high even got swept, came up into the institutional candle. So at that point, we definitely had a trade opportunity. Price, I wasn't at my desk at this point. This was during the London session. If you see, it was about 3 a.m. my time. I wasn't at my desk. I got to my desk around, I think it was, I don't know, 7 a.m. around this area, and I saw price had exhibited bearish order flow to the downside. Now there was an inefficiency up ahead, but to me, we had already filled one inefficiency and broke structure again. So that's the only reason I didn't wait. Now, if this low or this low had not occurred, I would not have taken a sell until we came back up into this supply zone. But that wasn't the case. I saw that bearish order flow was coming into the market. I had my framework. My narrative's already telling me I want to target the sell side liquidity below. Structure's telling me that, and we had just filled this high time frame fair value gap and shown signs of weakness. We started to break down. So at this point, we had seen one sign of weakness because we didn't really see it up here. Look, here was your low. Price came up again, hadn't even shown a sign of weakness. Didn't clear this low, but you cleared that low. So that for me was enough. We came up, mitigated this zone. So at that point, what was it? Aussie sell. So my execution, I waited till we came back up into that zone that we had just drawn, this zone right here, because this is on a 15-minute. Price came into my zone, gave me my sign of weakness. And this is why I love inside bars, because it's important that you use a technical approach whenever you are plotting market structure. We're not trying to say, oh, well, that doesn't look like a low. That's not how it works. We look at it from a perspective of, is it a low? Was it in a part of another leg in price? No, because it failed to break this candle's high, but it did produce a candle after it that broke its high. That's a low. A low's job is to make a high. If it's not a part of another internal swing of price and it does its job, then I'm going to mark it. I'm going to take it. So it broke down. At that point, price wicked up a little bit. So it cleared that low, price wicked up. I just market executed, and then it was off to the races. And that's why you have to be really, really aggressive if you have a style that you know works, and not be scared to get stopped out. Like this could have got stopped out and I wouldn't have cared. Whatever. But as soon as that happened, I've already put my position size here. I already know how many pips my stop loss is. I know exactly everything that I need. I have my phone open with the amount of lots that is according to my stop loss. Everything is ready. Like I'm pointing the gun, ready to shoot that shit. So as soon as that happens, take the trade. That was our execution. And then right here, that was the target, was this sell side liquidity on a 15-minute. Now, the thing where I fucked up here, which I really shouldn't say fucked up, but I guess the thing where I, look how I could have just held that. Because originally, the whole reason to get in the trade was to target this sell side liquidity down here, not just this. It was to target this down here. So I just took the trade. I was happy with it because I've lately been trying to be a little more, because I spoiled myself a little bit with like 20 and 30R only, which, they are great and they definitely happen. We've hit a 20R, I think, last week, but, I'm okay with these small gains building up. Now, looking back, do I wish that I could have just held to my weekly target? My weekly target was cleared. I could have had a 45R trade, but I don't want to sit there and like give myself like FOMO and make myself make a bad decision next time. But I can reflect on it and say, okay, well, at least target your 4-hour target. I could have at least, and I trimmed out a bunch right here and held the rest, and I would have had a 20-hour trade. It would have literally hit, I think, later the next day. So, it is what it is. But then we took another sell. Now, this one, I actually cut. I put pictures in here so I know exactly. I did by the time. So the framework was very similar to the last one. All right, price had came back up. We removed that 4-hour sell side, but I still was targeting that week low at the bottom. At the weekly low. Once we get that close, and there was some sell side liquidity here. So for me, I was still targeting that. I was looking to get short again. My 15-minute was right. I should have backed this up a little bit, but obviously I didn't see all this at the time of executing. But what I saw was the 15-minute was in my zone, filled this inefficiency, swept liquidity. So it gave me all my checks, right? But remember, we're playing shorts at the discount of a range after we've taken some sell side liquidity, which I was cognizant of, but that always kind of I guess decreases your probability of the trade, for one, being successful, and for two, being one that's just off to the races. It's not usually going to happen like that because it's going to be choppy, which was fine. I already, at this point, whatever. I had made some good money this week. I wanted to target those weekly lows. Now, remember, I could have just held the trade that I was in the beginning of the week. It would have been solid. So what I did at that point, this was a PM trade. It was like it was late. I took the trade super late. That was my execution again with the inside bars. Came down, price paused, made a new high, took it, immediately executed right there. Not much to it. Just in a 15-minute POI, 4 hours bearish, 1-minute execution. Very straightforward. Now, what I did, thank God, I was going to sleep. So look, if you see the time right here, it was actually, I think, a little bit after this, maybe over in this area, but because this is 6 hours ahead of me. But I took profits right around there. So what is this? So it was 68917. It was in this area right here. If you see up here, was 950, so it was a little lower. It's probably in this candle actually is where it was, in this down candle, and I just took profits because I was going to sleep. Now, for one, I don't want to sleep on a position like this, and for two, I probably couldn't sleep if I had a position open. I would think I was gonna go to sleep, but I just checked my fucking phone, so I just took the profits. I was like, whatever, dude. This is an example, like I started off this session with, and saying that I don't, trim before 3R. If I do anything, it's like this. It's like, okay, you're up, just take the fucking money off the table. You know what I mean? No point in just going to sleep on a fucking 50 lot. Now, would I have hit a take profit? It would have hit, because I was going to target. I think this right here was another target for me. It would have hit in that, and I would have taken some partials, but then price would have just turned around and stopped me out. So it would have been not a profitable trade, because I was just going to take 30% there. So it's like, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I took that position, because it resulted in a little 1.5R instead of a loss or a break even. So, and this is another trade. Probably happier with this than any trade I took all week. For those of you in stock chat, I know that some of you guys, maybe not in here, but I was in stock chat that day and we were fucking killing it. Let me pull this up. Where is it? This is a great example of this. It's the same setup we had on NOS, like I was talking about. You have liquidity engineered to that one side, right? You have the range liquidity coming into the morning session. Oftentimes, there's going to be volatile news around 8:30 and 10 a.m. This morning, I think there was news at 8:30 or 9. There was some news manipulation going on, obviously, and I think it was consumer confidence. I cannot remember off top, but there was news that led retail to believe we're bearish. Okay, we're bearish, we're pushing down. Oh my God, I'm going to short. So what happens here? In these situations, if you're not trading smart money, you're a breakout trader, you go short here. Or you are a long trader here, you got stopped out. So the longs are stopped, and then inducement of retail breakout traders going short. So then what happens? The same thing as that NOS setup. We come back down under here, and now no one's paying attention to this unless you trade smart money. Now, what are we waiting for? We know after we run this liquidity, it's scary, but we're expecting a reversal. Now, that reversal doesn't have to go to the moon. It doesn't have to take us back up in here. But we're expecting, once we have one draw on liquidity removed, and I usually I don't want to say draw on liquidity and confuse you. That should be something you use in the daily time frame. But one area of intraday liquidity is removed, price is going to go to the other. Right? We could target this order block. We could also target the buy side liquidity. Have inefficiencies all the way down. I mean, it's a very clean setup. So then when price comes up, and this is very simple as well, you get a break of structure, right? Internal structure was cleared right here, right? Because this high, it was this inside bar right there was a high because the next candle took its low. Price traded through that high. It showed us that the market had intentions to go higher and take out that buy side. Those buy stops are going to get ran, and now all these shorts are going to get trapped, and everybody's just going to be in a world of pain because everybody tried to, either they got stopped out right here for longs or they try to short down here. So now as soon as we come back into this fair value gap, the fair value gap I had drawn, this I think was on a 3-minute. So it looks a little weird on this 1 minute, but there was a fair value gap in the 3-minute. As soon as, and that's another thing, we have to break this high with displacement. We don't want just a wick. We want displacement. The market is showing us that it wants to go higher. So then price traded back down into the fair value gap. Again, no fear, no hesitation. If you have your checks, if you have everything, you just execute. And that's what I did. We were talking about this in stock chat. I can't signal stocks, but I was telling people to buy this. You can go back. A couple people took it. There's actually some wall of gain stuff. Then very satisfying trade. Went exactly where we wanted it to. And for those of you watching on YouTube, let me find in wall of gains. Not from me. Hold on. Second. So there were some people here that took it. Hold on, let me go back. Everybody's been blowing it up. You can't even find this shit now. Oh no, it's somewhere. James Casper. Discord is always so frustrating. Yeah, it says Peel in stock chat. We traded that and it went perfectly. I kind of swear there's a dude who posted some shit in Wall of Gains. I think almost positive. Maybe he didn't tag me. There's something right there. There's a sniper entry. Thank you. Yeah, we took longs. Again, I can't signal, or I can, but they're not options. Everybody's trading options in Playbit, so I could have signaled on Forex. Next time, I guess I will. But came up, perfect fucking trade. I mean, this is put me in a very good mood for the rest of the day. Now the risk reward's not the craziest. It's 3-1, but I'll take 3-1. You know, I didn't even question this because I'm very highly confident in it. 3-1. I mean, that's your daily goal right there. It's the only trade you need to take. It's totally fine, especially if it's, you know, this was over the course of less than an hour. So I was super, super happy with it. I was wouldn't change a thing about it. So euro dollar, another trade that we posted about in Forex analysis. Where is it? So I notified everybody it was in demand. We wanted this kind of price action to occur, give us some buys into sells. Now, price came down into that zone. So this was kind of our high time frame framework that gave us the idea. You know, there's no opportunity yet, but we have an idea. We have the framework to look for a trade. So that's the trigger for that. So then we have our execution visual. For me, I actually didn't get as good of an execution as I would have. I wasn't in my desk at the kill zone, but down in this kill zone, there was a nice low time frame entry. But for me, I just saw this break structure. I sat down back at my desk. I just got in on this candle, which usually I use the 1 minute, but I knew this was going to go. I've been waiting this trade a while. You know, the risk reward was still good. Now, I won't chase something if the risk reward's not good, but hopefully this speaks to a lot of people in the Discord because the price will move like a little bit and everyone's like, oh, I missed it. And it's just like, you didn't miss it. Just reevaluate where it's at now and then change your stop or your position size. You know, if your risk to reward's still good, you didn't miss anything. You may not be in the positive the entire time, but the trade idea is still the trade idea. Nice trade. Didn't hit full profit target. I took out partials right here and then up here at this area right here. I was being aggressive because it was counter trend and my daily bias for the euro dollar is pretty bearish still. Well, it was up until we cleared under these lows. But nice trade. Took out most of the trade was here, and then the rest got stopped to break even. So super, super satisfied with that trade as well. Should have just taken full profits here. Ideally, I should have just been at my fucking desk, because if I would have been at my desk, I would have gotten down here, and then I would have been able to take full profits here and have a better risk reward than I got. But overall, great fucking week. 33 R secured total. Could have been more. You know, the strong points that I noticed was with my indice trades, my liquidity trades. I was holding, you know, my AM session liquidity. I held all the way through, and same with my Aussie dollar sell, held all the way through. So that's what really helped me. If it wasn't for those trades, this week would have not been nearly as good as it would have been. You know, the ETH short was very nice as well. That was another trade. Here, I don't think we went over that one. Yeah, this was actually one we didn't go over. So here we came into the higher time frame. You can kind of see the long I took right here, but we came into the higher time frame zone. 2 breaks of structure to the downside. Didn't really have, I think that was supposed to be an execution. But full profit hit perfectly. It went down into that demand, then price flew up. This is super satisfying to catch both these moves as well. So all that was just a pro trend 15-minute into 1 minute confirmation, because we saw we were in that higher time frame POI, sign of weakness in the 15-minute. Really you could have got an entry right there, but I wasn't watching. Then I waited, price came back down, broke structure again. At that point, it was fine for me. I was, we show that supply is in control there. Supply had flipped that newly introduced demand, because this demand pushed us back up into supply, and then it failed. So that shows me that supply is taking control of the market. And I mean, perfect, literally. That was and the thing is, that's why I really like intraday moves, because you're more poised to hold your trade in full, because this is not a big move. Right? You'll see people like, oh, I don't even want to catch a 1% move. But at the end of the day, that's just somebody who doesn't understand risk to reward. Because I don't care. I'm more about pips, and I'm more about how much money of my portfolio am I making. So close it out. I think what I need to improve, like I look back, not really paying attention as much to crypto, and not trading counter trend crypto, especially because I wasted a whole day just sitting there on Bitcoin. But now I can look at it like, okay, I'm just trading only pro trend right now with crypto. I'm not even gonna, because usually I'll sit there, some of these were counter trend. A lot of the Aussie dollar, CAD JPY were counter trend. It's okay to trade counter trend, but I've found that trying to trade Bitcoin and stuff against the trend is less time efficient than I like. So I'll set my alerts, trade those high time frame POIs when it comes to that. But as far as trying to trade intraday moves against the trend, I'm just not gonna really mess around with it. So that, and then also on some of these trades, I did not hold to my long target. This would have been an insane week if I would have just held this trade right here, this Aussie sell, because we know we can look here and it looks like a great trade, and it was a great trade. But look what happened. I could have just held this trade all the way down to here. That would have been amazing, but it is what it is. Learn from it and move on. But yeah, close out the week really good. If you guys have any questions, feel free to unmute your mic and ask away, and we'll go over it. But if not, I'm gonna hop off here. I'll give you guys like 2 minutes, or people on YouTube if you want to. Let me see if you guys have asked. I'm sorry, I haven't really been looking. Somebody said, how many hours am I usually on a chart? I would say on a good day, like 4. Sometimes less. Like for instance, when I was taking these NOS trades, like I woke up at 5:30. I was on the charts by 6:30, and I was off the charts by 11. So it was like 4 hours, 4.5 hours. And really an hour of that was just me on stream. Also, I appreciate you too, Cyber Ray. And I encourage you guys, do this. Like I am doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like don't think that, just because you're making money doesn't mean you can't do better, and doesn't mean you can't improve off stuff. And I promise you, think you're improving off of shit by just it happening. But what's really clicking, like for me, it literally clicked like the hour leading up to the stream. I was going back over and reviewing my trades, and I was like, damn, like you're trying to force shit with crypto right now. You're trying to force counter trend trades. You're wasting your time. I guarantee if I would have been watching something else that day, I probably would have had a much better day. Still a fucking awesome week, but you can find those little tweaks that you can make and, put them to use. Another thing that I should have kept my high time frame targets. If I'm trading pro trend, should it just held a runner? On like the Aussie dollar, and really this NOS trade right here should have held a runner. But I mean, I don't want to give anybody FOMO demons, and I'm not saying I should have just held the whole trade, but I should have just held, a runner, because I did have extended targets. But at the end of the day, that's not a crazy problem to have. It's pretty easy to fix. Somebody said, do I find it exhausting? Absolutely not. I love it. I love every minute of trading. I enjoy it.
Casper, do you
Yep.
check Canadian, Japanese chart, please?
Sure. Yeah, I actually have it already charted up. What I'm waiting on is a return up to one of these zones, because same bias before, we still have this sell side liquidity engineered. The daily draw on liquidity, really it's arguable you could say is right here. I would be probably out of a trade in full here, but I'm going to be looking for sells down into this sell side liquidity. I'm actually just going to delete this so I don't confuse anybody or myself. But 4 hour came up in its institutional candle, rated liquidity, internal break of structure, the downside, came up into that newly introduced supply, respected the supply. So now we have a flip zone right here. So ideally, I don't know if I'll be watching it, because Monday, I think that Forex is still open on 4th of July, because it's, an American holiday, but not an international one. And the yen was going to be moving still normally on the 4th. So if I miss it, whatever. But you guys, for you watching, look for price to become rebalanced here. Fill that inefficiency, come into this supply zone. It doesn't even have to fill it all the way. You could really, watch this whole zone right there. But wait for price to come up in here and do the same thing it gave us over here. Just 15-minute sign of weakness, right? Same stuff. Price rebalances, 1 minute break structure to the downside, execute the trade. And at this point, I would be targeting down here. I'd be trimming at a low, recent low, but that would be the final target.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, pretty much is because I don't know when to apply the double change of structure, right? Because I can see there is a double break of structure, right?
Right, there's one right here, and then there's one right here.
So if the trend is with us, we can literally short from the second break of structure.
Yeah, you can look for shorts upon, personally, I wouldn't just set a limit, but if you see the 15-minute come up into this zone, right, and then we go down to the 15-minute and we see, okay, that's ugly. If you see something like this, price comes up into this zone, and then it changes character. We get that internal low. This doesn't have to be swing structure, just an internal low. Then you have a new supply zone, right? Price comes into it on a 1 minute, switches bearish in the 1 minute. That's your execution. You can stop loss above here if you're okay with the risk reward, or above here. Make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. I appreciate you. I like when people actually ask questions too. Some sell side liquidity or buy side liquidity being engineered there. You might even see a reaction from this zone right here. That's a nice little flip zone when we refine it out of the 15 minutes. So you could watch that zone as well. All right, guys, I'm gonna hop off here. Tomorrow we got a class. It's gonna be at noon Eastern time. It'll be recorded for those who won't be able to make it, but hope to see you guys there. And I really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you have any questions, anything need, the link for the trading journal on Notion, whatever, let me know. I got you. But until tomorrow, I will see you guys later. Peace.